Hi, welcome back to another episode of Sankofa Pan-African series. In this episode, we'll be looking at another Nubian kingdom, Meroe, also sometimes pronounced Meroe. Napata, the capital city of Kush, was sacked around 590 BC by the Egyptians under the leadership of Pharaoh PSAMTIK II. After this, Meroe became the capital of the kingdom of Kush and then gradually developed into a large, prosperous empire. The establishment of the 25th dynasty at Meroe marked the beginning of another civilization which flourished. Research suggests that Nubians only developed alphabetic writing systems around 200 BC during the Meroitic period. Unfortunately, not much has been done to study the Meroitic language, thanks to people like Dr. Cheikh Anta Diop, who carried out some studies trying to decipher Meroitic language. Well, there is, however, a lot of documentation on Meroitic Nubia in the art and literature of Greece and Rome, whose empires touched on the borders of Nubia after 330 BC. The final period of the kingdom of Kush is also sometimes known as the Meroitic period. The Meroitic period lasted from about 300 BC until the 4th century CE. Meroe was ideally located as a seaport on the Nile, thereby serving as trade routes to the Red Sea and also the African interior. The Nile also made irrigation possible, and this helped to turn Meroe into an agriculturally fertile area. In addition, Meroe developed lucrative iron and gold mines. It also had pyramids, and more than a dozen Kushite kings, queens, and other nobles are buried in Meroitic pyramids. Some cities in Meroe even had more pyramids than all of the ones found in Egypt put together. Like Egyptian pyramids, the pyramids at Meroe marked the burial spots of the noble, royalty, and rich people. However, unlike Egyptian pyramids, Meroitic pyramids were smaller and did not actually contain the burial chambers themselves. The tombs in the Meroitic pyramids were beneath the pyramids instead of inside it, like the Egyptian ones. The Egyptian pyramids actually, had the remains of the dead lying on the surface, lying inside on surfaces inside the pyramids, whereas the Meroitic pyramids had the remains buried under the pyramid. So their pyramids were more like large tombstones marking burial places of important people. Now, in researching about Meroe, for me, one of the most interesting aspects of the culture was the role which women played. Queens wielded immense political power in the land alongside the kings. The title of the queen was KENTAKE, which has over time been Latinized into the name Candace, which most likely meant Queen Mother or Queen Regent. And there were at least 7 KENTAKES recorded between 284 BC and 115 CE or AD. In archaeological artworks, KENTAKE AMANITORE is depicted as an extremely large, towering figure conquering her enemies, who are then rendered as smaller and helpless in her grasp. Also, the KENTAKE AMANITORE is another very powerful KENTAKE, shown in the same way on the Lion Temple at Naga. These images illustrate the power and prestige that women rulers held in the Meroitic culture. Some historical accounts relate how one KENTAKE actually thwarted Alexander the Macedonian, also known as Alexander the Great, by arranging her army so strategically in a way which forced him to retreat. Even Augustus Caesar was compelled to make a peaceful treaty which favored Meroitic interests over those of Rome under the leadership of a powerful Meroitic KENTAKE. The Meroitic Empire was wealthy and powerful, incorporating the Middle Nile region of the Sudan. Meroe was located at the crossroads of major trade routes, and it flourished from 800 BC to 330 AD. Meroe grew to become so prosperous and was written about by Herodotus around 430 BC. It was famous for its wealth in ancient times. This made it a target of attacks by various armies, especially by the Persian king Cambyses, who mounted an expedition to capture it, but his attempt failed. At the height of its glory, Meroe was a great center of iron smelting, agriculture, and trade. Egyptians and later Romans needed African goods like hardwoods, ivory, animals, including elephants, and Meroe became a major source of supply. Meroe also had a robust iron industry, which made tools and weapons, and these made the city-state very wealthy. It was also well situated because its situation along the banks of the Nile was really advantageous. Meroe had well laid out broad avenues, and the wealthy of the city lived in great houses. There was apparently also a well developed system of gathering rainwater, because the remains of great systems have been found. It is believed to have survived a Roman invasion, but later was conquered by Axumites around the year 330 AD, which brought about its decline. Often considered the last of the great Nubian kingdoms, Meroe thrived for several centuries. It got progressively weaker as Egypt became absorbed into the Roman Empire, which by that time dominated trade to the north. So by 350 AD, Meroe was abandoned. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe if you have not done so. Like us and feel free to share with your friends. See you next time.